All right, guys, today is Saturday, September 24th, 2022. Today marks 14 days I have left to finish my 55, and that pretty much means I have 2 weeks left. And I've had issue after issue with reproduction parts, and I'm telling you, it has been aggravating to say the least. One of my problems was when I first bought the car in 2013, within that year or the next year or whatever, I bought a lot of the reproduction parts back then, which included rubber parts, reproduction weather strips, because I didn't expect the car to drag on for 9 years. Like, I expected to build it in 1 year or 2 years tops, but it's ended up dragging out 9 years. So in that time, that weather stripping has, you know, like the trunk rubber was all hard and ruined. So anyway, just frustration after frustration. But I have a little bit of stuff done to the car. It doesn't look like much, but it took lots of hours just to get this stuff back installed in the car. I've got the quarter glasses in the car, the window regulators, everything's, I've got it fairly aligned, pretty good, but it's not 100% yet. I'm going to wait until I get the flippers in and then finalize everything. I've got a pretty tight gap up here and it's pretty loose here, so I'll have to loosen up the screws that are holding the track to the roof. They're slotted this way, so you can move that in and out for a little bit of adjustment. So I'm going to move that back a little bit, and that should get my gap pretty nice. But I got the lower windshield trim on, the wiper arms and blades and all that stuff installed, and that was a job that should have took less than an hour and ended up being 3 hours. So these corner pieces are originals, and these are not the ones from the car. The ones that came from the car were pretty rough, like, I don't remember, but they were all messed up. So I had some in my shed. I've got wipe marks on here, but anyway, there's a steel bracket that's pressed into the back of that, and that bracket comes out a little ways. It has a hole in it, and there's a hole in your cowl, and you put a screw in there to hold that bracket down. And the brackets that were in here were pretty crusty, so I ended up buying just the brackets themselves, and they come with the screws. So I took the old ones out, put the new ones in, and I come out and I put them on and screwed them down with the screws they supplied. Then I went to put the lower trim on, and I couldn't get it to come around here. You have to like push this end in, and I got a little rough with the trim trying to get it forced in there, and ended up putting a big old high spot right here because the screw head is too tall. So, oh boy, was I mad. So I had to pull the trim back off, hammer dolly that out, file it, sand it, and polish it again. And I changed the screw out to a lower profile one, and it actually worked. So another reproduction crap part. Another thing that got me in the butt, and it's probably my fault, the hood decal seal that goes right here. The original has a little top that opens up, and you press your clip down in there to clip it to it. I don't know why that these companies can't sell you a door or a hood decal seal that comes with the clips. Instead, they want you to buy the clips, which I had the clips, but that hood decal seal was rolled up in a spiral in a tight little package for 9 years, or, you know, possibly longer. So when I pulled it out, the very center part of that spiral was so tight and kinked and creased up, it looked like hell. So I set it out in the sun all day on the hood of my truck, which gets really hot with the sun on it, and it didn't take it out. And then I used a heat gun and I couldn't get it out. So I spent a couple hours just jacking with the stupid thing. I finally ended up using this universal seal, and this has got adhesive on one side, so it just sticks on, and I just cut it to fit. It has ribs in it, which I think looks pretty cool, but it's about the same height. When I was at Darrell Starbird's car show a couple years ago, Kindig was there, and they had some cars there. They had that white 55 Nomad that was on one of the episodes, and I was looking in the car, and I noticed that seal because I have some of that here on a roll. So I used the exact seal they did, and I like it better. It's smooth looking and clean, so, and I like the ribs. I think it gives it kind of a little bit of a detail. But anyway, so that was my fault probably for leaving it in the package that long. So I got my Belair script on and a crest on. I had number 2 and number 3 buff this area because the paint's tightened up and it was dulled out from the last time I buffed it a couple years ago. But anyway, I buffed this main area so I could put those on, because you'd never get all that buff down in there, you know what I mean? But anyway, I wanted to put those on before I put the quarter glasses in because it would be tough to probably get up in there. You can get to all the trim nuts for the clips, but those crests was going to be a little pain in the butt. But I got my reflectors in the doors. I got all the stainless put in on the interior, so all the piece around the back window and this piece over here I got all put in. I had to re-drill all of those holes, and I had to re-drill all those holes for the corner piece. I had to re-drill 3 holes for the back window trim, and it's just what happens with a mass-produced vehicle on an assembly line. When I tightened up the screws in this corner, when you stepped outside the car, you could see behind the trim, it was sticking down like it was bowed out. This side wasn't like that. So I ended up having to pull those screws back out, tweak that, pull it inward, re-drill new holes and put them in there. And then the very corner screw over there, they had drilled the hole at a hard angle, so the screw head was popped up. So I ended up having to re-drill a straight hole and get it in there. So, I mean, it's just been a mess. The factory holes for this, when I used them and screwed this on, the headliner bow bracket has 2 screws in it. It's like a little T down here. You could see it, the top of it. So I had to move that up just a little bit to cover that. I mean, it was a mess. It was a huge mess, and it's one of those deals where, you know, it shouldn't take that long to do something, but it does. But when you're trying to make something really, really nice, that's what you get into. I think the biggest thing I got into that was a real big frustration, and it really bit me, was my brand new door rubber. So this is Dan Chuck's brand of door rubber. There's the part number, 553, I think. Do not buy that. I can tell you that right now. This does not have the molded formed ends on it for a hardtop. So I read the instruction page there when I noticed these weren't on there. My original thought was, when I pulled these out of the package, I was like, these are for a sedan. But these aren't even long enough to go around the door frames on a 4-door, which would be smaller than a 2-door sedan door. So these are pretty much worthless. They expect you to use your original molded ends off your original rubber, cut them off, and glue them to that. Can you believe that? Whose weather stripping that many decades old is still going to be good? You know what I mean? It's going to be dried out. It's going to be cracked. I mean, get real. That is dumb. They shouldn't even sell that. But they conveniently have a part number here. 914, I think is what it is. You can buy that part number 914 and then glue those ends to that. Can you believe that? So I ended up having to call H&H and order a brand new set of molded door seals that has the ends already vulcanized on there. I mean, it was dumb. I mean, I can't believe a company would sell door rubber like that for a car that old and expect you to reuse your old original stuff or buy new and glue it on. And you guys that have experience with weather strip adhesive, yeah, that stuff sticks good, but do you think it's really going to stay stuck on there for the first week or 2 or 3 while your rubber's trying to take a seat to the body when you're closing? And you know, you got to slam the door like crazy when you put new rubber on, and I just don't think it would hold up. I think the glue would just let go. So that blew me away there. So in case you do not know, when you put trunk rubber on, door rubber on, and I'm talking about the door rubbers right here, if you lined up all your body panels on your car raw in mock-up like I did, and then on assembly you put your weather stripping on, and then you can't get your door to shut without slamming it, and then once you get it shut it seems like it's sticking out a little bit, you do not go in there and readjust that door. You leave it alone. You don't readjust your trunk. You leave it alone. Rubber has to take a seat to a vehicle. That's what it's called. That's what the industry calls it. It's called taking a seat. It has to relax to the body. So don't go back and readjust anything. You need to leave it tight as hell like it is, and it will, over the course of like a week or even a month, will relax and the door will start closing better and it'll start fitting better. So, you know, gluing an end on is not going to survive that period. You know what I mean? That's just dumb. So the other problem I got into was these little guys. These are door lock knobs. These are aluminum. They have a little bow tie on them. They're pretty cool. Now back, I don't know, 12 years ago, 11 years ago, I had a 4-door 56 that I was building. And then I wound up with this car in 2013. And instead of finishing the 56 four-door, I sold it as a project car to fund some of this car. So I kept some of those parts that I had bought for that 56, including the trunk seal, the hood decal seal. So that hood decal seal, you know, is probably, yeah, I was thinking I probably bought it for that car, but most likely I bought it for that 56 because they are the same seal. But I bought these door lock knobs as well. And this is the way they came in. Of course, I've taped them together, but you got them that long, and then there was two this long. It's the exact same part number. But I bought these for a four-door because four doors have 4 door lock knobs and 2 doors only have 2. So I knew I only needed 2, and most likely you're going to use a short one. Now, it's not the case of the long ones go in the rear because it's a 4-door. They take the exact same length lock knob. That is just a manufacturing issue. These are too long. These would tower above your garnish molding and look dumb, which you could cut it down, I guess. These will not even catch a thread on my door locks. And my door locks are clean metal. They don't have any paint buildup in them. The thread's not messed up or anything. And these will not catch a thread on either side. So I don't know if you're supposed to force these on and cut the threads yourself, or I don't know how that works. So I ended up, when I ordered the door seals, I bought a brand new set of reproduction black door lock knobs. The thing about these, I've noticed the last few years on some cars at shows, I really didn't want to run these anyway, but I was going to because I had them. They end up scratching, up and down scratches in them, because the garnish molding steel and this is aluminum. So you're metal on metal contact when you lock and unlock the door. So it was going to end up looking like crap anyway. These, you know, Tri-5 Chevys, they don't have a fuzzy felt ring that goes around the garnish molding like on some of the 60s, 70s, and 80s stuff. So my original idea was I would, you know, make the hole bigger and then buy those new ferrules and put in there, and it would look kind of cool. But anyway, I just ordered the factory replacements in black, and they'll come in and be just fine. So it's just problem after problem. And the Belair script on this side, now on this side, when I put this one on months ago, I didn't get any clips with those Belair emblems on the quarter panels. So I ended up going through my drawer over here, slide tray, and I had enough clips to do one. So I'd forgot about that. And when I got ready to put the Belair script on, I didn't have any clips. So I had to rob them out of my brand new Chevrolet fender scripts that John bought me for my wife's 4-door. So I'll end up having to get some clips later. You know, I got to use them because they're here. I can't really, you know, order another part and pay shipping for it. I don't really need them when I've got something here I can use, but I'm sure I'll remember that when I get to the point to put them on my wife's car, and then I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to order clips. So I'll be back in the same boat again, you know what I mean? But anyway, the car's coming together. I mean, it's once you put the windows in it and stuff, it's starting to look really, really good. The trim makes a huge difference, getting the trim on the car, especially with that black. And it's funny because I'm looking at the car, and although it looks shiny, it is gonna be twice as shiny and deep looking when I get it final buffed and get the glaze on it. Oh my gosh, this thing's gonna look like $1,000,000, man. So I'm trying to come up with a plan of what I need to do here. And I really, honestly, don't have a whole lot left. I need to do the upholstery on the inside of the car, the seats and the door panels and that type of stuff. And I've got a good start on a lot of it, but I've got to put covers on and that type of stuff. But some of the stuff I've started on in the past, I just haven't finished anything. I do need to make a trip to Tulsa to American Auto Upholstery, and I need to get some stuff there to finish my upholstery. But I need to still paint the trim inlays for the long moldings down the side of the car. And I was kind of thinking I was going to do that today, but I think what I've decided to do is do my Raptor lining today, because that stuff needs to actually set a little bit longer before I bolt it on the car, other than the trim. Like the trim, I could paint it in a day and probably put it on that evening, just be careful not to touch the fresh paint. I could probably get the trim on the side of the car while the paint's still kind of fresh. So I'm going to wait on that and go ahead and work on the Raptor liner, because I've got to tape a lot of stuff off. The fenders themselves are painted. I haven't buffed them yet, so I'm going to go ahead and mask off all of the outside of the fender. That's going to take some time, and you know, then I can Raptor line everything. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that today. It is cloudy and it may rain, so it may get to the point where I can't do anything, but I'm going to Raptor line that stuff outside under the carport because I don't want to get anything on my car. Let's see, upholstery, side trim, sand and buff the fenders. I need to sand and buff this piece right here, and then I need to paint trim black on this. I need to paint trim black on this. I need to sand this and then paint it. But I mean, in all reality, that's not too bad. But I wanted, by tomorrow, I wanted to have, you know, the car, like the fenders and all that on it. I just didn't make it because I was jacking with all this aftermarket crap. So, I mean, it's been a mess. But, and you know, I feel like I could still make the show even only having 2 weeks. I think I'm that close. But if I run into more problem, which I know I'm not going to, it may not happen. But, you know, I can tell you this, if I do not make that car show, that car is going to be almost done. So instead of not having a deadline and coming out here and working my butt off day in and day out, I would have just normally come out here casually, oh, I need to mow the yard today, or oh, I need to do this, or, you know, that type of crap. I come out here and worked on the car and I got stuff done. That's why I set deadlines. It's not about actually meeting the deadline. It's about getting out here and working and trying to make the deadline. So the hardest part of building a car, restoring a car and that type of stuff, is starting the work on it. Because people can talk about it all day long, like I'm talking to you right now. I've already built the car sitting here talking to you about it, and I still have all this work to do. It's getting out here and actually grabbing the tools or grabbing the parts. And once you get started, it starts moving. But it's the initial start, basically, is what I'm saying. So anyway, guys, I have taken video clips. The thing about it is I'm down to the wire. You know, I got 2 weeks left. I got a lot of stuff to cover. If I go through and video every single thing, like when I start working on a project, I have to stop to set up the GoPro and talk about it, show what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and all this type of stuff. It takes time out of my day. And then I have to, at the end of the night, go in, import the computer videos to the computer, and then I have to go back and watch those video clips, and I have to cut out what I don't want, and I have to put the video clips together, which takes about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how many clips I have to put together. Then I have to upload it to YouTube, and that takes on average about an hour, hour and 20 minutes to upload the video. Then it has to go through its checks, and that usually takes anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes sometimes. Then you have to fill out all the stuff, the title, the description, and you have to go through like 7 pages, clicking through page after page and setting stuff up and safety check crap and all this kind of stuff. So your reality is you spend a lot of time to do one video. So what I'm probably going to be doing is videos just like this. I'm just going to be telling you what I've done, show you the stuff I've done, go in there, import it to the computer, plug it in, let it upload instead of editing crap. So I'm sorry, but I'm down to 2 weeks. I don't have time. So anyway, I am going to get to work. I'm going to go ahead and upload this video. Sorry, it's just a talk video and it's pretty much 18 minutes long. Thanks for watching.